Welcome to the first episode of Truth and Tunes, the podcast where we hear the truth about all the artists, their journey, their story, while we play some tunes. Listen to some of their tunes. So this is Truth and Tunes, and my first guest today, on my first episode ever, is the one, the only, Mr. David.
Yeah. Good day. Check.
Mr. David, welcome.
What's good?
It's been a long time coming.
Long time.
Now I know Mr. David many years.
Lots of years.
We can't even count. Probably go over 20 years back.
Sure right.
So Mr. David, we're here to tell the people the truth about your journey in this entertainment industry. Mr. David is a well-known soca artist out here in Baltimore. That's where we are right now. Baltimore, Maryland.
Big up.
Right. They call him the number one soca artist in Baltimore, the soca ambassador.
Yeah.
Mr. David, but we all know you reside in Baltimore now, but you were born and raised in
Trinidad and Tobago.
So tell us about your story. Tell us where you're from, what school you went to, tell us how this journey started.
Well, I'm from Trinidad and Tobago, South Trinidad, Library. Big up the Library people. Went to school, South San Fernando. Went to Open Bible High School. Studied business. After Open Bible, I went to Technical Institute where I studied engineering. Got a degree in engineering.
Oh, nice.
And from there, I actually started working for the company called Detroit Diesel.
Okay, and that's based where?
That's in South Trinidad also.
Okay.
Was building engines. And from there, I moved on to working offshore as an engineer.
So David is a South man, and of course, most South people like to get in the oil.
Yeah.
Right? So he was at Detroit Diesel, and of course, like you said, he moved to offshore. So how did you get from being an engineer into being a musician?
Well, I've always been into music no matter what since growing up. My father, who was a DJ.
Oh, nice.
So every weekend, he just playing his little calypso music and just playing music non-stop. So I always been into that.
What was your father's DJ name?
Fire Chief.
Fire Chief, so shout out to Fire Chief.
Yeah.
The real OG.
The OG Fire Chief.
So, your father being your influence musically,
Correct.
You're listening to the old soca, I guess would have been the old reggae and everything.
Everything from Gregory Isaac to Percy Sledge, to name it. Anything old school, he was playing it.
So what made you decide to get into the music though? Like what led you into becoming an artist?
Well, I've always been that guy who wants to be in the spotlight. Always want to see myself on a stage. Always believe that one day I'm going to make that stage and perform for a crowd and have them singing something that I was right there on the stage performing.
So who were your inspirations at that point in time in Trinidad, like local artists, looking at them and saying, I want to be like that?
Well, I would say Wayne Rodriguez.
Do you all remember Wayne Rodriguez? The Footsteps man?
Footsteps on the ground.
Slampetada?
Yes.
So what made Wayne Rodriguez stand out among everyone else?
Well, he was also from Library.
Oh.
And one time I went to a Soca Fete, and of course he was with the band Ecstatic.
With Marshall Montano.
So that was like an honor for me to see him on the stage doing his thing, knowing we from the same neighborhood.
All right, so it gave you that confidence that you could go too. So what was that aha moment when you saw him on stage and decided, well, you know what, this is going to be me?
Well, it was a fete I went to in, I believe it was a Rima Velodrome.
Okay.
And you know how Ecstatic, they had that energy with them. So, they always calling people up on stage, to whine and dance and do the thing. It was always a whining competition.
Right, that's Marshall for you.
Yeah. So, I found myself...
on stage?
I found myself on stage. And I actually won the competition.
Oh, wow. Wow. So, were you trying to say that whine about it from a long time? You was competing against Marshall or you was outlining Marshall?
Well, somebody had to try.
So, you won the competition. And what happened next?
Then after that, well, Wayne recognized who I was.
Right. Knowing that they're from the same neighborhood.
Right. So after that, he started telling me, well, come to this party, hang out with them. And they started rolling with them.
You enter a dancing competition on stage. They like your vibe. They ask you to start a roll with them. But how you end up in a studio?
Well, after he sang Footsteps, I was actually doing back vocals for him in his shows and stuff. When he performed in Soca Monarch, I was actually on the stage as a dancer for him.
Wow.
So you're on the stage and you're looking at that crowd, about 10,000 people, and you see everybody chanting and stuff. That had me feeling like that is where I needed to be.
Right. So you didn't want to be in the background. You want to be on the front line.
You're sure right.
Right. Front line. Shameless plug. Big up Frontline Radio.
Frontline Radio. Big up Clean Lord.
So you wanted to be on the front line. So tell me about your first moment then coming from behind the stage, being a dancer, singing background vocals, and being in a studio.
Well, the first studio I actually went to was in Chigona's Gypsy Studio.
Gypsy Studio. Now, that's where me and Dave meet.
That's about over 20 years.
Yeah, like 25 years ago or something, right?
Yeah.
So I would have met you at Gypsy Studio way back when with Wayne Rodriguez.
Yes.
Right, and I actually sang some background vocals on some of Wayne Rodriguez tracks too with Mr. David.
Correct.
Yeah, so the first studio you came to would have been Gypsy Studio, Winston Peters, the great calypsonian.
Yes.
And you would have done what there at that time? Background vocals only, or did you do any of your own tracks?
Well, at that time I was doing background vocals there. Then it would have times that Wayne would leave to go home. And the producer and engineer, Sean Merez. Big
up Sean Merez.
Yeah. He would tell me, stick around. And then he would start showing me certain things, and he actually put me in the booth. Let me record a little verse, and then he was like, hey, you know what you're doing.
Right.
So that built up my confidence more.
Right.
And then it just started right there.
So what would have been the first track that you actually recorded a verse on that was professionally done and released?
The first track I actually put my voice on as far as singing was a song called Hot Boys.
Hot Boys. I think I remember that track.
Yeah, with Sean Merez, Colin Morris,
Roger Dickey,
Roger,
and Phil Hill.
Yep, correct.
Right, that was Wonderbag Productions.
Yes.
That was the original Bread Boys too, with Peter C. Lewis and Mr. part of, right, from Party Time days.
Yep.
Alright, big up the old Bread Boys crew. So that Hot Boys would have been your first track. What happened following Hot Boys? What was the next move? Did you do any performances?
Yeah, after we recorded Hot Boys, we actually went on a tour, a Pepsi tour, around Trinidad and all the schools.
The school tour?
The school tour, the Pepsi school tour.
I think that was Coca-Cola school tour.
It was Coca-Cola?
Yeah, I think it was Coca-Cola school tour.
That's so long ago. And the performances on there, I was amazed. So that confidence started building up more and more, seeing people screaming. And
I think as an artist at that age, performing in the school tours and then being young and getting your first moments, that's when you really see that the fans who are the girls.
Yes.
When you see them girls, them screaming, that makes you feel like, hey, I want to keep doing this, right?
Correct.
So after the school tour, what happened next?
Well, after that, I kind of just went back into the studio doing back vocals for Wayne Rodriguez.
Right.
Doing little tours with him around the Caribbean and in Trinidad. And after that, I realized, well, I wasn't young no more.
Right.
So, you have responsibilities and stuff. So I started I went back offshore.
Okay. Start back to work.
Yeah.
Right. And one of the challenges of being a recording artist, especially, in Trinidad and probably in everywhere where you're trying to have this as a career, there's always this challenge of having to be an employee, having to pay the bills, and the music ain't paying those bills.
Correct.
And you have to be juggling between jobs and music and then debating which is the lifestyle you really want, And then, of course, if you're still living in your parents' house, trust me, you gotta get a walk.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Right.
Sometimes your parents would tell you, focus on your education and focus on getting a job and everything. But I was like, yeah, I could do that and still do my music and stuff. And it was like, nah, one had to come first.
Right. And I mean, you have a degree in engineering, so they ain't trying to hear about no music.
Right.
I mean, not even sound engineering they want to hear.
Even at a
Because I'm a sound engineer, and trust me, they ain't trying to hear that either.
Right. Even at a time I'm working offshore, my ship came into port. It was around Carnival time. Mm-hmm. And I knew the ship was going to stay there for these 2 days. And I got dressed and left and went to Soca Monarch.
Wow. So you run away?
I run away. Wayne was right by the gate there waiting for me, picked me up, and we went to the shows.
Wow.
And then dropped me right back.
So, moving on then. School tour, still singing background vocals, having to decide to go back to the Red Line. You know, but today there's a big international soca artist, so how did we get to this point then? What happened next? Now we're in Baltimore, Maryland, as I said, right? We're in the USA. How did you end up in America?
Well, after building myself up as an engineer, I was always looking for a challenge. So I wanted to advance myself. And you know, Trinidad has a certain level you can't cross.
Right.
So I took it up on myself to relocate to the USA. And by relocating, I wanted to try something different.
Right.
So I pushed myself into joining the US Coast Guard.
All right. So let's pause on that for a little bit and we get back to this point. Taking a break, guys.
Yeah.
We'll be right back at you. Let's take in some tunes from Mr. David on Truth and Tunes.
Yes.
They say mind your fetting business. Yeah. I come to tell you what I fetting witness. You come in the fet, like if COVID left. Yeah. You're marking every girl you feel like if it's a test. If she looking best, well I feeling blessed. But when she turn around, the girl facing a mess. Whoa. Drink your rum and wash your mouth and mind your fetting business. Yeah. Drink your rum and wash your mouth and mind your fetting business. Drink your rum and wash your mouth and mind your fetting business. Drink your rum and wash your mouth and mind your fetting business. You come here to party, not to watch you whining on who. You come here to party, not to watch you jamming on who. You come here to party, not to watch you whining on who. You come here to party, not to watch you jamming on who.
Welcome back. Now you're enjoying the music. Truth and Tunes. So Mr. David, so we're going to go into this journey of you coming to America like Eddie Murphy. How did this happen?
Well, I just made that decision to migrate here because I wanted to advance myself in engineering.
Right.
So that's why I came here, looked into working for Detroit Diesel, and that's when 9/11 happened.
Oh.
So I had to rearrange my plans. And then I just started working a regular job until things got better, and then took myself into the US Coast Guard as an engineer.
Tell us about that experience, you know, making that decision. What motivated the decision other than having to rearrange due to 9/11 and having to look for a regular job? What made you decide, well, hey, I want to be in the military?
Well, coming from working offshore, you know, you're working on the water. Mm-hmm. So the Coast Guard, same thing, working on the water.
Right.
I always was in the engine room. So I told myself, you know what, I needed to try this. And also taking myself there, I wanted to discipline myself.
Right.
Have a certain discipline for myself, also learn and educate myself a little more.
So how long did you spend in the military, in the Coast Guard, and what was the experience like in the U.S. Coast Guard?
Well, I only stayed there for 6 years.
Okay.
And the experience in there, it was good. Got myself where I needed to be, and I matured myself.
So being an engineer in the Coast Guard, what did that entail? I mean, you still had to be a gunman, or were you still going out to war? Or were you just there,
I wasn't going to
operating on
war.
machinery?
I was more like, operating vessels, doing repairs on ships. I was also a boarding officer. So, when you had little runs on the water, you the one the little bulletproof vest, you had your little piece with you, and you boarding vessels, doing searches,
Right.
these type of things.
Okay, so if you intercept a ship, you'll be on board.
Yeah.
Right. Understood. And you spent 6 years there.
Yeah.
So coming out of the U.S. military, I'm looking at the journey, from Gypsy Studio to background vocals with Wayne Rodriguez and coming to America. At what point did you give yourself the name Mr. David, right? And decide, what, this is it full time for me?
The name Mr. David came about, I want to say, my personality.
Right.
So, anywhere I go, everybody was like, hey, look, Mr. David. I guess it's the way I care about myself, my personality,
So
the
it's
way
like
I dress.
a form of respect they have for you.
Yeah.
Right.
So the name just stuck with me.
All right, so now you're rolling with the name Mr. David, right? So you're a solo artist.
Yeah.
Tell me, when was your first performance as a solo artist?
My first performance as a solo artist was in a hotel called Belvedere Hotel.
And where was that located?
Right here in Baltimore, 13th floor, Belvedere Hotel, yeah.
Okay. Oh, that was around what year?
That was like 12 years ago.
Wow. So you started off as a solo artist in Baltimore,
Yes.
right? What song was that you would have had at that time? What was your first solo recording?
At that time, it was the first song I did called Teaser.
All right, who produced that song?
Just Can.
Who's Just Can? Tell us about Just Can. We got linked up with Just Can.
Just Can was a producer from out of DC.
Okay.
I got introduced to him by DJ Axe out of Baltimore here.
All right. And Just Can did your first track, Teaser. How well did Teaser do?
Teaser did pretty. I was amazed of how well it did, because when I did Teaser, I got it to a DJ called Mr. Music,
All right.
and Mr. Music got it to all the other DJs out here in Maryland. Then he got it to the radio stations in Maryland here, and it just went clear from there.
Right. So I guess you were being requested and you did your first performance.
Yes.
All right. What followed after that first performance? I mean, yes, you had a great reception. You had a good first single. What happened next?
Well, after that, I wanted to actually try to see how far I could take the song. So then I had a friend, Tammy Springer.
I remember Tamara Springer.
Tamara Springer, who introduced me to a DJ in Canada.
Okay.
And she got the track to him. Then he got the track to his production team in Europe. And then they reached out to me, hey, would you want to be interviewed on one of our radio stations in Europe? And I said, sure. And got my interview where the song actually made #1 in Europe for their carnival season that year.
Look at that. So big up Tammy Spring. I think she goes by the name Queen Ori now.
Yes.
Right. Big up Tammy Spring for that big link up. That's how artists are supposed to be helping each other in this industry. How did you get to know Tammy Spring though?
Well, I've known Tammy for as long as I've known you.
Wow.
We kind of grew up in the same neighborhood.
Nice.
So the connection was always there, seeing your friends all over. And she was also into music.
Right, and she moved to the US also at that time.
Yes.
All right. You're telling me that Teaser, your first single, was also the #1 in Europe, right?
Yeah.
So imagine having such a great start, for the first time, as a solo artist.
Yeah.
Right. So how did things progress from that? What was your second song? And, how did you start growing the industry?
With the success from Teaser, Just kind of reached out to me again and said he had a song called Afraid of You.
Okay.
And went down there once again and listened to the song, made a little changes and rearranged it, and kind of used the song as an anthem for a Juve group out in Trinidad, in South Trinidad, called the Black Mambas.
Wow.
So if you heard the song, you would hear in the song it's saying Black Mambas, afraid of you. I'm afraid of you. So that was once again another success.
And this one made it to Trinidad.
Yes.
Right. How did it feel, leaving Trinidad after all those years, starting in the school tours and things back there, and now full circle, having a song that is making waves in Trinidad? How did that feel?
That was, to be honest, I wasn't really expecting that.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess due to people liking the song, people started requesting the song, and it just did its own thing.
So that was your second track.
Yeah.
I mean, I think right now you have countless amount, right?
I lost track.
You lost track, right? So tell me, what happened next? What was the next move after having another successful single? How we on the journey of you becoming the Soca ambassador in Baltimore, being considered the number one Soca artist in Baltimore, right? Working with Just Can in the beginning of your career. I understand that eventually you were even signed to a management team and everything.
Yeah.
Tell us how you got to that point.
Well, after being interviewed on the radio station in Europe, one of the CEOs of the radio station actually had a label where he actually reached out to me and said, hey, I want to sign you to my label and stuff.
Wow. You see how things has happened, people. Mm-hmm.
So I've been signed to them for like over 11 years.
Wow. So just a point to artists in Trinidad, this is how the journey is, It's not always, how they put it, a bed of roses, but there's always successes along the way. Nobody's just, as much as we complain about fight down and stress and no lack of airplay and all these things, right? You can see Mr. David, after leaving Trinidad, was still able to find success in Baltimore, in Europe, and he's continuing to expand as we go along. So this is living proof that there are opportunities out there and you can still make it, right? So signing with this label, what was the name of the label?
CO2 Production.
CO2 Productions?
Yeah.
So how did you grow from that point? Tell us a little bit about where that took you.
Well, as I say, over 11 years with them, so I had to been doing something good.
Right.
So signing with them, it gave me a home. So they didn't just consider me as an artist. I actually evolved in different things with them, and they taught me how to grow as an individual, and it wasn't just about music.
So you didn't just find a label, you found a family.
Yes.
Right. So what was the next track?
I think the next track was Show Some Love.
Show Some Love was a big one. I remember Show Some Love. You came to Trinidad to shoot a music video for Show Some Love.
Correct.
About 2015 or 14 somewhere. I think it was about 2014.
Yeah.
Right? And I had the privilege of shooting that music video. We went up to San Fernando
Hills.
Yeah. That was an excellent time. I really enjoyed shooting that video. So tell us what happened with Show Some Love then.
The success I got from Show Some Love was overwhelmed because I actually ended up in couple of the radio stations, being interviewed. I think I was on 105, some other radio stations I was on.
In Trinidad?
Yeah.
And I understand you also did a remix for Show Some Love.
Show Some Love have about 4 or 5 remixes.
Wow, look at that. So tell us about the remixes. I know there were some big names in the remixes.
Yeah. With the success on Show Some Love, once again in Europe, it made success where a producer actually gave it that European feeling. Mm-hmm. So that was one remix there. Mm-hmm. There was other remixes where people did like the road mix.
Right.
Then I had DJ Future out of Queens, New York. He did his own remix on it also.
Right. And I also understand that they had a famous rock star doing a remix also.
Correct. Walker, Mr. Walker.
And those of you who remember Walker from his remixes with Marsha Montano.
Yes.
I think it was Can You Give Yourself Away?
Correct.
With or Without You. right? So imagine coming full circle from seeing Marshall Montano them on stage with Wayne Rodriguez back in the day, dancing and trying competition with Marshall Montano on stage, and now working with people that he's working with, right? International rock stars. How was that experience? How did you get linked up with Walker?
Well, I think when I did Show Some Love, I think I recorded the vocals in Brooklyn with Cody Chat.
Right.
Cody Chat, because DJ Future is the one who built the beat for it.
Okay.
So when I reached out to Cody Chat now, he was like, hey, I have somebody who could give you a nice little flavor on it. And I was like, who? And he said, Walker. I'm like, Walker who?
Mm-hmm.
Then when he told me who it was, I'm like, Walker willing to put a verse on this?
Wow.
And he said, yeah, he loved the track. And he's just keep talking about this track. So I said, go ahead, do your thing. And they did their thing.
Wow. And have you ever had a chance to perform it alongside Walker?
No.
Mm-hmm.
No, not as yet.
So that's something we look forward to seeing happening sometime, right?
Yes. He actually reached out to me. He had a concert out in some beach out in New York. Mm-hmm. But due to work and stuff, I wasn't able to make it because that's a 4-hour drive for me to get out there.
Yeah.
So still in the making.
Right, possibilities.
Yeah.
All right, so we're talking about Show Some Love. All right, and we're going to take another break and we'll be right back. Taking some more of Mr. David's tunes. And we'll coming back soon with Truth and Tunes.
Hey, when you rock someday, when you hands someday, when you flock someday, put them up, put them up, put them up, push them up, put them up, put them up, put them up, push them up. Ranks so high to the sky. I want you with them ranks up high, so high to the sky. I want you with them ranks up high. Carnival Monday, Tuesday, happiness in the air. We celebrating the biggest festival of the year. We don't want no violence inside the session. You representing, show me all your hands on everybody. Throw your rags up, put your flags up, throw your hands up, and show some love. Throw your rags up, put your flags up, push your hands up, and show some everybody. Put your rags up, everybody in the party. Find somebody. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Everybody in the party. Find somebody. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Let me see your rag in the air. Let me see your flag in the air. Let me see your rag in the air. Let me see your flag in the air. Let's rise up, my people. Unite to be stand. We gotta come together, spread love in the land. We come out to party, we come to have fun. So bring your gal and drinks and leave your gun. Now everybody throw your rags up, put your flags up, throw your hands up, and show some love. Throw your rags up, put your flags up, push your hands up, and show some love. Everybody put your rags up, everybody.
Welcome back to Truth and Tunes, the podcast where you hear all the truth and some tunes. All right, we're going to get the story from every artist, especially those out here in the US, you know, trying to inspire the youths back in Trinidad that it is possible. I'm not saying you have to leave Trinidad for it to happen, but I'm letting you know that if it's not happening there and you do leave, there's an interesting journey out here, right? So you're here in Baltimore. You have releasing single after single. I mean, it's all songs like everything is paved with gold for you, but tell me what some of the challenges you encountered. It couldn't have been all that smooth.
Nah, it's never a smooth road with this music thing. Some of my challenges is getting the music back to Trinidad.
Right.
So you know you get a lot of critics. Because with me living out here for so long, I started losing
The Trini accent.
my Trini accent.
Right.
So that's a challenge there by itself. So you know you have people questioning, is he really from Trinidad or what? Or
Because your song a little bit different.
yeah.
Right.
So that's some of the challenges you face.
What would make you as a Trinidadian lose your Trini accent? I've seen people come here for many, many years and still talk Trini. What environment do you end up in that it kind of challenges you trying to hold on to the accent?
I think some of my challenges was the people I work with, the people I'm around. So when you talk that broken English, for some of them it's like they don't understand what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
So you had to find yourself talking that proper English for them to understand, and then year after year, that eventually gonna stick with you.
Right, because you're not really among much Trinidadians anyway,
right.
So you're not having a chance to switch back.
Correct.
Right, probably only when you come home or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand. And then being in the military, of course, not much Trinidadians will be around.
Correct.
And now, where do you work now?
No, I'm actually a supervisor for an airline, Southwest Airlines.
So that's even worse, right? As far as being in a culture where you don't have much Trinis again to talk to.
Correct.
Right, but I understand, it leaking into your soca music. But maybe it could be a plus too, because being in this environment, you might be able to have your music reaching more international. I don't know.
Yeah, it is.
Right? But I understand the challenge getting your music back home. How do you juggle family life though with your music? How challenging has that been?
That is very, very challenging.
Yeah.
Very.
Tell us something. Like, I mean, what's difficult about it? You got kids, you got a wife, you have a job, and you still being a soca star. Do you get all the support at home? Do you get support from your family? How is that part of it?
Well, yes, I get the support, but sometimes it have its days where I need to be in certain places. Then you have the kids. You have to balance, try to figure out, babysitters and all these different things. And when it's time to record, you could only do it on your days off, or like how I have my own personal studio here. I got to worry about my son knocking on the door and these type of things. So it's like, got to wait till they sleep.
Right.
And
sometimes you can't just move when you're inspired.
Correct,
right?
yeah. You can't move when you choose.
Right.
You got to go on their time.
Right, I understand. Yeah, well, that's part of the life. And how challenging has it been, though, in Baltimore? I mean, it couldn't have been too challenging since you're considered the soca ambassador out here, right? But how challenging has it been to get your music played at Baltimore radio and to get shows out here?
Well, for all these years I've been in Baltimore, I think I want to say I've been lucky.
Right.
And getting my music on the radio station is it's never been a problem. In fact, the radio station always asking, hey, you got something you want to drop?
Mm-hmm.
Interviews to the radio station has always been open. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I have no problems with that. I deal with most of the DJs here. Built a relationship with the radio stations. Most of the places that keep Caribbean parties, they consider me a superstar there. So it's like, hey, it's Mr. David. You know, when you walk in the party, it's like you get that respect in here.
All right. So from Show Some Love, tell me what came next.
After Show Some Love, I think I jumped over to a Juve song called Bam Bam.
Bam Bam.
Yes.
That sounds like a big song, because the word Bam Bam alone, that's a big.
Yes.
Because Trinidad ladies with a big Bam Bam. Tell us about Bam Bam. How did that come about?
Bam Bam actually came about. A friend of mine's who's also an entertainer, Mr. Famous.
Mr. Famous, big up Mr. Famous.
Yes, he
reached out. Play more local.
Yes. He reached out to me with a rhythm and told me, hey, a bunch of artists about to jump on this. I recommend you get on it. So I reached out to you, and I guess when I presented the rhythm to you, within 2 days, you had something.
Right.
And I said, we're going to collaborate and knock this one out.
Yeah, so that Bam Bam, that was our first collaboration.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
so
yes,
Bam
yes.
Bam was my first collaboration with Mr. David. I wrote the song, he sent me the rhythm, and probably took about a day to write that song. Sent it back to him. He was blown away. I recorded my parts in Trinidad and he recorded it in New York, I think, right?
Yeah, that's what we did.
Right, and put it together. We never perform it up to today. You know, I mean, we did little podcast stuff with it, little YouTube stuff, but we
Yeah.
never actually performed it on stage. Hopefully we will soon. And, you know, I think when I came out to Baltimore for the first time, we went to the radio station for an interview with that with Neil
Yes,
Matai.
yes. 88.9 FM.
Right, so how well did Bam Bam do?
Up to this day, everybody still talks about it.
Yeah, it is a big sound.
Yeah, the majority of my shows, they always ask me, "Are you gonna perform this one? You gonna perform this one?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll do it."
Yeah, I mean, if you listen to Bam Bam, people, it's a Juve song, and trust me, it has all the elements of Juve. You know, it's a real big Juve song. You know, it tells a real Juve story. The rhythm has that real, you know, early morning kind of vibe.
Yeah.
You know, waiting on that truck. Yeah, so look out for Bam Bam. All right. So let's take in Bam Bam right now then. Let me jump on the Bam Bam.
You don't know. Sheldon Mendoza on the rhythm. Tuesday morning. Yeah. Tuesday morning. Everybody. Whoa, all I seen is Bam Bam in town. Everywhere that I look around, only Bam Bam all on the ground. Oh Lord, oh Lord. Whoa, all I seen is Bam Bam in town. Everywhere that I look around, only Bam Bam all on the ground. Tuesday morning, I wake up early and I'm gone in. Down and I hear my name calling. Hit me without a warning. Only Bam Bam, man and woman only. Out on the road, man, it old man and all on the. I see a big fat woman and a thin man there. Two of them together, man, they break away. As soon as I pull up and my song start play, I little boy shout out and say, whoa, all I see is Bam Bam in town. Everywhere that I look around, only Bam Bam all on the ground. Whoa, all I see is Bam Bam in town. Everywhere that I look around, everybody, Sheldon Mendoza.
Well, it's Tuesday morning and I wake up yawning. I wanna sleep but the clock not rolling. I wanna pee but the truck not rolling. Out on the street if you see people going. Oh, what a carnival, so much of music, y'all. Oh, when the back of her, just wanna touch it all. We in the festival, I don't really care at all. If anybody fall, it is the alcohol. So drop it down, girl, all on the ground, girl. So cock it up, girl, back to the top, girl. So walk it up, girl, don't make it stop, girl. Tick tock, girl.
Whoa, all I see is Bam Bam in town. Everywhere that I look around, only Bam Bam all on the ground. Whoa, all I see is Bam Bam in town. Everywhere that I look around, only Bam Bam all on the ground. Tuesday morning. Tuesday morning.
I surely like that Bam Bam. That Bam Bam looking big. Yeah. So, but before Bam Bam, I think we jumped the gun a little bit. You had Singleness.
Yes.
And Singleness was one of your biggest songs.
Still is.
Yeah.
Still is.
Yeah, Singleness did well out here too, right?
Yeah.
Did you have a video for Singleness also?
Yes, there's a music video out for Singleness also.
Right.
Singleness actually became again a #1 song in Europe.
Another anthem.
Yeah, another anthem. That song was actually written by Steve Steely Jr.
Wow. Big up, Steve.
Yeah, Singleness became huge in Europe. Actually got big in the US. It was playing on the radio stations in New York, Baltimore, Miami.
Wow.
So that was one of my big songs.
So you always had a lot of great writers writing for you too.
Yeah.
Right, so after Singleness and Bam Bam, I know you had quite a few more. You had songs like Just Go,
Yeah.
right, which was another big one. You had a music video for that too, right?
Yes.
And after Just Go, what came next?
So much songs.
the Trini, every Trini in a foreign rock.
Yes, foreign rock.
Right.
Foreign
So
rock.
Who produced Just Go?
Just Go was produced by I got that rhythm also from Famous.
From Famous also.
Yeah, I got
Right.
that one from Famous. I can't remember the name of the rhythm.
Right.
But what's his name? Cassie, Raymond Rambarine.
A lot of them was on it.
A lot of them was on that rhythm also.
Trini in a foreign rock, that was Nice Nation, was it?
Yes.
Right. How you get a link with Nice Nation? Because Nice Nation, of course, we know is one of the biggest producers in Trinidad. How you got that link?
I think I don't know how we became friends on Facebook. But he was always liking my stuff. And then when I realized who he was, I reached out to him. And then we exchanged numbers and stuff. And then he was like, hey, I want you to listen to this rhythm. And I listened to it. I was like, that's like a new school soca thing. I think they call it the zest music.
Right.
So I was like saying, this is another challenge right here. I was like, how am I going to compete with these young cats and them with this zest music? So once again, I reached out to you, and in no time, we had something.
Right.
And it actually fit into the whole catalog of the rhythm.
Right, and it's called Foreign Rock, right?
Yeah, Foreign Rock.
How well was that received in the US?
Foreign Rock was playing in a majority of a lot of the clubs here.
Wow.
It played in Europe, in the clubs here, parties in New York. It
did well.
It did well also.
All right, and after Foreign Rock, you moved on to what? What was the next track after Foreign Rock? Mr. David have so much music, people. Right? I'm trying to keep up with him too. Now, I wrote quite a few of his songs myself.
Yeah.
And even for me, it's hard to remember, you know. I know we had Behind the Truck. That was another Nice Nation.
Yes.
Right.
And that was actually the first song I ever...
Help Right.
Help Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Which I was amazed with that one there too.
Yeah, I think we wrote that right here.
Yeah, we wrote that right. And actually recorded it right here too.
Yeah, we recorded it right here
Yeah.
too. For real. Behind the Truck was a big one.
Yes.
Yeah, that song did pretty well. It even played in Trinidad too.
Yes.
Yeah, that was on radio. I know it was playing on Red 96.7.
Correct.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And so after Behind the Truck came, which track?
And I know we had Make We Name.
Make We Name. Make We Name is one of my most favorite songs from Mr. David. And it's not one that I wrote, but trust me, I love that song a lot. I love the production, I love the music. I love his voice on that. I think this is where you challenge yourself even further.
Yeah. It took me about 2 months
to master that one.
To master that one.
Yeah, he sang his heart out on that one. And that's why I love that one, you know. Because as a writer, when you're writing for artists, most times you write within their range, or within their tone. And because you're writing for them with them not being present, you don't try to do too much that they can't do when you give them the track to sing, right? But I think the writer for Make We Name really pushed you on that one. Who was the guy behind that one?
Daryl Graves.
Daryl Graves. Very good.
I think he writes for Kes and he wrote for Patrice and he wrote for a lot of the big names out there.
Right, so you really got that you can tell that song sounds like it was one of them. I think that song still hasn't gotten the justice that it needs.
Correct.
Right, that's a real big song. Make We Name, look for it, people. As a matter of fact, let's take in Make We Name. We'll be right back.
Let me see your hands up if you're ready. Yeah. Feel the scenery, come on.
Welcome back to Truth and Tunes. We're still here, getting the truth from Mr. David. You know, listening to the story, the journey. You can tell it's been a lot of successes. You know, every story is not going to be like this one, you know.
Right.
A lot of artists have even more challenges than Mr. David had. But what made it easy for you being in Baltimore? Was there like much competitions? Were there other soca artists here? Did you collaborate with any artists out here?
It only had like a handful of artists out here. And one thing I've always told myself, if you really want to be an artist, care about yourself like an artist.
Right.
Portray yourself like an artist. So I always present myself like an artist. When I go to a party or a show or something, you could tell the difference in when I walk in the door. You could tell that he's somebody.
Tell me about any of the artists that you collaborated with out in Baltimore.
To show support to some of the artists, I actually got another rhythm from Famous and presented it to two artists, Coco Scorpion and Dexter King. Okay. So I tried to bring that unity with the artists and worked on a song with them.
Right.
And it had a little success to it.
Yeah, what was the name of that song?
Fog It Up.
Right.
Fog It Up.
So Fog It Up did well out here?
Yes.
Right.
Never had the opportunity to perform it with the artists on them.
Okay. Did you ever collaborate with any other songs with any artists in Baltimore?
No, not as yet.
Okay.
Not as yet.
So we realized over the years you've had a lot of different writers, right? Tell me, what's the procedure? How do you choose which writer you're choosing to write which songs? I know you had people like Ray Hamilton, you said Darryl Graves.
Yeah.
Well, of course, myself, Sheldon Mendoza. Who else have been some of the other writers?
Nice Nation.
Nice Nation. Right, so how do you go about choosing who's going to write the next song? Like, when you hear the beat, who does this feel like is going to be the writer for this song?
Well, the majority of the time is not even me who make the choice. Is, like, for example, some of the rhythms, when I get them, I present it to you. As far as with Nice Nation, I built that relationship with him over these past few years to the point that he knows my personality.
Right, he knows what suits you.
Yeah, so he would just say, like he said, he would just wake up in the middle of the night. And he would be in his studio doing his thing. And then he said he would just catch a vibes and he would just get a hook.
Right.
And then he could say, yeah, that's for Dave.
Right.
And then he just put his pen to paper.
Anybody else who have written for you? I'm not just call out a few names. Anybody else you can think of that we missed?
Nah. Not yet.
Right. And I know you have another big collaboration that you did that was unforeseen. Nobody saw this coming. I think I wrote that song too.
Yes.
And that was with Mr. Frontline himself, the Mighty Hitman.
The Mighty Hitman.
Tell me how that came about. Who produced that track and how did that come about?
Well, I can't even remember where that rhythm came from. But you, of course, wrote that one. And when I presented it to the management team, they was like, yeah, this gonna be a good one. So while I was playing around with this song, my team from Europe was actually in Baltimore.
Right.
And we all was in the car just driving around playing the rhythm. And the Mighty Hitman just started singing one of the verse. So I say, you know this verse better than me. So I told him, I say, let's try something different. And he didn't believe what the ideas that I had, that I was coming with. So I told him, listen, memorize this verse. And I could tell you the direction it's going in after.
Right.
So he did his thing, I did my thing. And that track was actually mixed in Europe.
Okay. Who was the man behind the engineering?
I'm trying to remember his name. Oh, his name was Corey.
Okay, and speaking of engineering, I know you also have Coolie Chat mix a lot of your stuff, right? Or record a lot of your stuff.
So Coolie Chat actually recorded my vocals in New York and sent it to Europe, where Hitman did his verse in Europe, and they just work their magic out there.
So a lot of your songs have been created just like that, right?
Yeah. Online.
Right.
I do my thing here, somebody else do their thing there.
All right. So let's pause on that for a little bit and we get back to this point. Taking a break, guys.
Yeah.
We'll be right back at you. Let's take in some tunes from Mr. David on Truth and Tunes.
Yes.
Mr. David. In this life I don't want no stress. Single living it is the best. Right now we celebrating singleness. Yeah. So come on a little closer and jump to soca. This life I could get used to it. Yeah. So come on a little closer and jump to soca. Oh, finally everything feel right. I pumping tonight. Don't want nobody to kill the vibe. I am so free, like if I could fly. Not one girl on my mind, but all of them in here looking fine. If you start just saying single on Facebook or Instagram, or if you come to party with your friends and not your man, oh girl, we coulda move on without the relation. So bring nothing close to me. Come on, let we jump. We celebrating singleness. Yeah. So come on, listen closer and jump to soca. This life I could get used to it. Yeah. So come on, listen closer and jump to soca.
So yeah, we are here on Truth and Tunes. Right now we're sipping on some truth.
Yeah.
You know, some truth with cranberry juice. So, Mr. David, being in Baltimore, achieving all this success, who are some of the people behind you in Baltimore? Like, who are the DJs that play your music, you know? I know you have a personal DJ that normally plays for you on stage,
Yes.
Black Poet. Tell me how you came about with that relationship, because I understand he's from Haiti.
Yeah, correct. So, with me moving around, I don't like the idea of going to a party not prepared.
Right.
So I told the team that I need a DJ to move around with. So my team reached out to the radio station, Neil Matai.
Okay. Big up Neil Matai, one of the biggest DJs right here in Baltimore.
And Neil put us on to Black Poet.
Nice.
And ever since that's another relationship built there. And we just been, every party, we just keep knocking it out, even on the carnival streets in Baltimore. On the trucks, we performing on the trucks, everything. The carnival shows, he's right there with me. Wherever he has a show, I'm there. Wherever I have a show, he's there.
Well, I know he's from Haiti, right? Like I said, so have you ever thought about dabbling in the little type of Haitian compa vibe, the kind of Haitian soca music?
It's coming.
It's coming?
It's coming. It's
Right,
coming.
right.
I had producers from Nigeria reached out to me.
Oh yes, I saw
beats.
you've been doing some Afrobeat stuff coming up, right?
Yes.
How's that? How did that happen?
I have some producers that actually work with me at my job, and they heard some of my music and stuff, so they be sharing my music out there in Nigeria and Africa and stuff.
Wow.
So they have producers out there that told them, hey, we need to work with this guy.
Nice. So look out for Mr. David all the way in Africa.
Yes.
Nigeria, look out. Right, and of course I know you also work with DJ Smalley out here. How's that relationship? How did that come about?
Smalley is basically one of the big DJs out here in Baltimore. So same thing, any party he's there. We build that close relationship. I'm promoting the whole carnival. He's part of the carnival committee. So he's always there pushing me, pushes my music, and they just keep going.
So as you said, carnival committee, that brings us to the grand finale, right? We're talking about the place that you've been making your name.
Correct.
Right? Baltimore, Washington, one Caribbean, one carnival, right?
Yes.
Tell us about that. When was your first time on that big stage, and How long you been performing there? And I know you're going to be performing there again this year, right?
Yes. I've been performing for Baltimore Carnival for about 5-6 years.
Wow.
5-6 years on that stage.
How was that experience been like?
Great.
Yeah.
Great. They always reach out to me months before the carnival so I could have time to prepare myself.
Right, make sure you're available.
Yeah, promote the carnival, push it. I built a relationship with the whole carnival committee. So they always supported me.
Right. And do you like do new music for Baltimore Carnival, or is it like the music you do from Trinidad Carnival rolls over into Baltimore Carnival?
To be honest, I don't do music for Trinidad Carnival.
Oh, okay.
I just do music.
And where it hits it.
Wherever it hits, it hits.
Right.
So Trinidad Carnival in February, March. Baltimore Carnival is in July. So I always had to support the Baltimore Carnival because that's where I'm from.
Right.
So I'm always, like every 2 months or something, I'm in the studio
Right. You always have new songs.
And as fast as I record it, it releases.
Right. And it just ends up where it ends up.
It ends up where it ends up.
Right. Europe, Trinidad,
Yeah.
Baltimore, Miami. So tell us some of the places you performed. I mean, other than in Baltimore.
I've performed in Miami Carnival.
Okay.
Of course, in Trinidad, New York. I've even performed in Virginia.
And what about where I'm from? I'm from Trinidad. I'm like,
Well,
what about Philadelphia?
Philadelphia, yes. Penn Station. I actually performed for the Caribbean Festival there once. And that was a huge success.
Oh, nice.
Huge success there.
All right, and what do you look forward to? What about international performances? What's coming up? What have you done,
Right now I'm working on Miami Carnival.
Okay.
Our promoters reached out to me for Miami Carnival already.
Nice.
I'm actually set to actually be in Europe in August.
Okay, nice. What's that about? Tell us a little bit about what's happening out there.
As far as I know, they have plans for me to perform in a couple of shows out there. I'm booked for the truck to perform on the streets, the parade.
Okay.
I think I'm performing in a tent as a guest.
And which carnival is that out there? Is that
That's,
like Notting Hill?
Yeah.
Notting Hill Carnival, all right. Mr. David doing big things, Notting Hill Carnival.
Yes.
All right, so London, England.
He's coming.
He's coming, Mr. David. All right, so we know, of course, coming soon is going to be the big, bad One Caribbean Carnival, right?
Yes. July 11th, 12th, and 13th in Drew Hill Park. Yeah, that's going to be another success right there.
All right, so we're here listening to Mr. David on Truth and Tunes, taking in the true story of the journey, and of course listening to some of his tunes. And we'll be back, okay? Stay tuned.
Mr. David, MD, yeah. Leave me alone, girl. Leave me alone, girl. Lord, if you want to go, girl. I'm begging you this time. Leave me, let me go on wine. If you want to go, girl. I'm begging you this time. I'm still going out on lime. Yeah. They say this year's no carnival. Corona stop the festival. I can't wine on no pretty girl, but I not stay home at all. To tell me party virtual. It's my ancestors' ritual. So it is habitual to try to stop me back and just go. Just take your things them and go. Just pack your bags and pick up your ass. They'll take your whole frame and show if you want to go. Just take your things them and go. This carnival can't stop at all. I just want the whole world to know if you want to go. Go, girl. I'm begging you this time. Leave me, let me go and wine. If you want to go, keep it moving. Go, girl. I'm begging you this time. I'm still going out on lime. Hey, yo.
So what can we look forward to in the future from Mr. David? Where do you see yourself, What's the plans? Any plan of retiring soon, or are you just going to be going down till you lie down, as they say?
Going down to the last. I go down to the last. My whole thing with this music thing is not to have that huge hit, but to leave my name and a mark
So it's like a legacy.
Yeah.
And what about like awards, Grammys? What are you thinking about? Anything like that in mind, or you just do music for the love?
Well, I plan on finishing up an album,
Okay.
which with the whole genre, what I'm doing is not just soca music.
Right.
I try in different styles, different things that suit my personality.
Okay. Saying that, I know you did some reggae in the past,
Yes.
right? With Tony Flavor.
The late
Great Tony Flavor.
Yes.
Rest in peace, Tony Flavor, one of the most
Yes.
beautiful voices ever out of Trinidad and Tobago and Germany.
Yes.
Right? And of course, I featured on that track too.
Yes.
Right? That track was called
Together.
Yeah, Together. And of course, you can look out for Mr. David's music online. Mr. David, tell them where they can find your music, where they can find you.
You can find Mr. David on Spotify, iTunes, all social media. It's out there. Just you can even Google Mr. David and you'll see anything coming up. Everything with Mr. David.
All right. So that's it, folks. Truth and tunes. Sipping on some truth. Playing some tunes, Mr. David.
Yes, cheers.
It's a pleasure having you.
Always.
Thank you for having me in your beautiful studio and welcome me into your home. All right, enough respect to the family. Big up, Brenda. Ladies and gentlemen, this was the first episode of Truth and Tunes. Yours truly, Sheldon Mendoza. Mr. David,
Yeah.
telling the truth, sipping on some truth, listening some tunes. Stay tuned.
Big up yourself.